in the class. These are some fine people, and I love every one of them.
Like you should say good evening. Special time. And you know it's a special time for me. First of all, that I've been asked to swear one of these youngsters in. In fact, he is the #1 graduate in this class. But a big surprise for me on Sunday when I saw Colonel Atwell come through the receiving line. Back 20-some years ago, I was a young cadet, freshman. Colonel Atwell was an air training officer and one of my air training officers. It got me started, and I guess you'd have to say I didn't do too bad in all these years. So I appreciate it, Toby. But tonight's a special night for these young people right here. And tomorrow morning, they're going to walk across the stage and salute Barry Goldwater or the Secretary of the Air Force or General Kelly. They're going to hand them a great big package. It weighs about 5 pounds. And that package is going to be a diploma. And that almost seems the highlight of graduation day. It's a beautiful diploma. It sits on a plastic plaque made out of aluminum. It's very unique. I don't think there's another university in the country that gives that out. But also in that package is a very thin piece of paper like this. And I'll tell you what this academy is all about is this piece of paper. More so than that diploma. Now they're very proud of that diploma and they're going to hang that on their I Love Me wall. They're going to tell everybody, there's my diploma. That's what I worked for 4 years at the Air Force Academy. And sometimes this piece of paper goes in a bottom drawer. And you forget all about it. And you wake up in the Air Force someday and you say, why am I here? And what is this Air Force all about? And you look at the diploma and it says, given by the authority of the Secretary of the Air Force. And it's signed by 3 generals, one of which is standing here. One is superintendent, one the faculty. It's very impressive, but it doesn't tell you why you're here. The piece of paper that I'm talking about is this commission. Diplomas have been given out at this academy for 25 years, you're the 25th class. They've been given out by West Point a couple hundred years. This has been given out since the country was started. This is the same commission they gave 200-some years ago. The President of the United States gives this to these graduates. And so I want to make sure that everybody understands what this is all about. As far as I'm concerned, this is the most important thing that you all came here for, was to see your sons and daughters get their commission in the United States Air Force. And when you're wondering down the road what it's all about, I want you to take this out. I would prefer that you frame it and that you hang it up on your wall next to your diploma, or someplace in your home, or someplace in your office. Given by the President, and it says, to all who shall see these presents greetings. And this is the important part of this piece of paper. The President says he has special trust and confidence in each and every one of you. Special trust and confidence in your patriotism. Hopefully what we have done here for 4 years, the parades, the ceremonies, the trips abroad, the trip to the United States, make you understand how great this country is. And that you have to be able to stand up at retreat ceremonies and say, I'm proud to be here, and not duck in the side door to make sure you don't have to salute. But more important, you must convince the young men and women who serve under you that they should do that. You should be proud to say that I love America, anytime, any place. And sing the Star Spangled Banner, and salute your flag when it goes by. The President asked you to do that. He says, I also have special trust and confidence in your valor. guess we could call that courage. And he expects you to have the courage of a Lance P. Sergeant or a Carl Richter. But he also expects you to have the courage of a Carol Buckhill from '59 who took his spaceship to the outer fringes of space. And he expects them to have the courage of a Dr. Wayne Kendall, who happens to be your surgeon here at the Academy, but who also had the guts enough to do the canopy off test and the decompression test on the F-16. It's that kind of courage that he expects from you, and the courage of your convictions to do what's right, not what you think the general wants you to do. He says, I have special trust and confidence in your fidelity. It's right in here, I'm not making the words up. And that's the honor code, isn't it? That's the loyalty that we've talked about for these 4 years. And he says, I have special trust and confidence in your abilities. And that's what the academy was all about. That's what all the academics, that's what the diploma is. It says you have the ability as an officer in our Air Force to succeed. That's what the athletic program was all about, and the military training program. All of those gave you the ability to carry out the office which the President has given to you. But what I like about this piece of paper, it not only tells what the President expects, but he goes on and he tells you what to do. He says, you shall carefully and diligently discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter. Boil it down, do your duty. You know what your job is. Nobody's going to be out there telling you like we've sort of done for the past couple of years. Just do your job. That's all the President asks of you. And this thing is not just for the graduates. This is for all of us, too, that wear the uniform. Because in this commission, all of us have to read, because it tells us that those of us who are of lesser rank should respect the office that these young men and women hold, and shall obey them. I guess it doesn't apply to generals and second lieutenants, but it applies to lieutenants and our non-commissioned officer posts. And when you're first lieutenant, it applies to the second lieutenants and right on up to the ranks. It also says that you will obey the orders of the President of the United States and of the officers appointed over you. And that has to be there too, because that sort of gives you the guidance. But the thing that ties it all up is the last sentence. And the caveat that says, in accordance with the laws of the United States of America. And that sums it all up, because that tells us that our obedience is not to a president, it is not to a general, but it's to our country, to the United States of America. It's all here in the commission. If you ever have any doubts, read it. And pay attention to it. And sometime when a going gets tough, and you're thinking about maybe I don't want to make it a career, look at it. Pull it down off the wall. If you haven't printed, pull it out of a drawer and read it before you make that decision. It's a great document. It's what they have spent 4 years for. They know that. And you know how hard it was for them to go through the 4 years. But it's all worth it if you have one of these hanging on your wall. And when you get a commission from our President, whoever he may be, you also must swear an oath. So here tonight, we are here to have them swear the oath for the commission which they will receive tomorrow. Once they swear that oath, they are second lieutenants in our Air Force. Tomorrow we'll have the formality of raising your right hands and saying, I do. But it's tonight, so if any of you have any doubts, speak up now. Because once we walk up there and raise our right hand, you're a member of the United States Officer Corps. I can't think of any greater way to begin your careers than to be here tonight with your moms and dads and families and fiancés and some of your officers being sworn into our Air Force. So I congratulate each and every one of you, moms and dads, brothers and sisters, boyfriends and girlfriends. And I wish you good luck.
Graduation at the Air Force Academy. Clouds and fog threatened to force the ceremonies indoors, but the sun managed to break through just in time to allow the 930 new second lieutenants to graduate without a flaw. Senator Barry Goldwater, who serves as chairman of the Academy's Board of Visitors, delivered the commencement address. But the biggest thrill of the day came at the end of the ceremonies. The Air Force Thunderbirds wrapped up this morning's activities. Melissa Young will have a complete report on graduation tonight in our 6 o'clock report.
Academy, and over 22,000 people poured into Falcon Stadium to watch the festivities. A host of dignitaries and guests were on hand as well, including Senator Barry Goldwater. Goldwater serves as chairman of the Academy's Board of Visitors and delivered this year's commencement address, just as he did 10 years ago. After the cadets received their diplomas and the morning festivities were completed, Goldwater held a news conference where he said new technology could create an end to war.
I can say that what the President asked for in space is not Buck Rogers. We've been working on space for years, so have the Soviets, and I honestly believe that one of these days we will develop the means of ending war.
Now, while most people were concerned with the graduation ceremony itself, Melissa Young reports the biggest happenings of the day were going on in each cadet.
It was supposed to be a day for pomp and ceremony, for dignitaries and propriety. But for the 930 cadets, it was their time in the spotlight, a day everyone agreed they would all remember, and a time to review the last 4 years.
I was shocked that first year. I didn't expect a lot of the stuff that came at me.
I think I changed a lot. I think I've become more outgoing, more aggressive.
4 years, a lot of studying, a lot of hard work, a lot of long nights.
I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I didn't think I was going to make it because it's been pretty hard.
When the time came for them to face their family and friends, most were glad to see the sun finally shine and to get on with one of the biggest days in their lives.
This just puts it all together, and we're looking forward to getting out of here.
There's a lot more than I thought it would be, but it was worth it, so especially standing here now.
As they listened to Senator Barry Goldwater tell them that honor was what set them apart in their future lives, some were thinking more about what they were leaving behind.
Working together as a team, it might sound a little corny, but you know that's what it's all about.
And then their time in the spotlight, the time for reflection, was over.
This is the 25th United States Air Force Academy graduation with your host, Keith Edwards.
Hello, everybody. I'm Keith Edwards, and welcome to the 1983 graduating class of the Air Force Academy. We have quite a show for you on this date. We have 830 men, 100 women who will become second lieutenants at the end of today's ceremonies. We have a guest speaker by the name of Senator Barry Goldwater, who will be giving the commencement address here today. He's the chairman of the Board of Visitors here at the Air Force Academy. And also making part of this very happy event on this occasion are the Thunderbirds. They return after a couple of years' absence, and they will be with us with the new F-16 Fighting Falcon. And also joining us is a second-class cadet, Brent Brandon from Austin, Texas, who is here to help describe some of today's festivities. Brent, I guess the first question is, what really is going through these cadets' minds at this time?
So the seniors that are marching through here have just finished 4 years of hard training here at the Air Force Academy, and the only really adjective to describe would be indescribable joy. They have mixed emotions, however, many bonds of friendship have been formed in the past 4 years. And they're going to be saying goodbye to a lot of good friends here as they go out in the Air Force.
Okay, obviously this is a big moment for the friends and also members of the family of the cadets themselves. It's a big, big day, and as Mr. Brandon here mentioned to us, it is rather exciting for them also. It is the end of 4 vigorous years of training. And where do they go on from here, Brandon?
So the majority of them go to pilot training. 70% of the entering class at the Air Force Academy has to be pilot qualified. However, several go to navigation training, and there's also intelligence training, which they go on to later. But again, the majority it is pilot training.
Already. One of the important things here, however, is what makes a young man or woman decide to become an Air Force Academy cadet and then eventually a second lieutenant in the Air Force. What makes them yearn and have that urge to soar like a bird in the sky? Let's find out now with the feeling of flying high.
Dream. Impossible it seemed that I could be a wonder boy with wings. So I looked toward the sky and often wondered why I had this mighty urge inside to fly, to fly, to be flying, to fly, to be flying. Machine made reality from dreams, made it possible for men to soar. Oh, my time is here at last, and I've waited for so long. Now I'm flying high. Yes, I'm flying. I'm flying high. Yes, I'm flying. So far above the ground, so far above the town, looking down. Now I have found a love in gliding like a dove, a peaceful feeling deep down in my soul. In my miracle machine, made reality from dreams, made it possible for me to soar. Ooh, my time is here at last, and I've waited for so long. Now I'm flying high. Yes, I'm flying. I'm flying high. What a feeling. I'm flying high. Yes, I'm flying. I'm flying high. So far above the ground, so far above the town, looking down.
We got crab legs, sea galley, we got shrimp, and a whole lot more. We got steak, we got steak, we got steak top sirloin, we got steak giant, steak Neptune, and prime rib, the seafood for just a little more. Only a little bit more.
Now isn't that a good idea?
So come to Sea Galley tonight.
The pride and tradition of colonial craftsmanship have now been combined with the comfort of flotation sleep in the Country Collection from Big Sur Waterbeds. The Country Boy with open bookcase headboard is an incredibly low $149.99. The Country Briar with silk screen mirror and beveled cupboard doors is just $229.99. For only $299, add a matching dresser, mirror, and nightstand. The Country Collection at Big Sur Waterbeds, 2417 North Union, Colorado Springs, and in front of the Pueblo Mall in Pueblo.
It's time now to introduce our guest speaker for the 1983 Air Force Academy graduation ceremonies. He is Senator Barry M. Goldwater, a Republican from Arizona. He was born on January 1st of 1909. He is the chairman of the Board of Visitors here at the Academy. You may recall he was the 1964 Republican presidential nominee. He's a member of the Armed Services Committee, a member of the Select Committee on Intelligence, and also the chairman of the Tactical Warfare Committee. I introduce you now to Major General Robert E. Kelly.
The Academy is deeply honored to have as its 25th graduation speaker a great friend of all of us in America, and especially a great friend of the United States Air Force Academy. It is difficult to encapsulate the achievements of this great man, a man of diverse talents, and I might add, as dynamic as our distinguished speaker is today, he will be also tomorrow. He possesses a long list of awards and accomplishments, but the most important theme of his life is his concern for people. His concern for our Academy community is a prime example. To this man, we owe much. The magnitude of his accomplishments, the breadth of his experience, and his total commitment to make the Air Force Academy better, and also to make his country better, constitute an impressive example for the class of 1983 as you begin your careers of service to your country. It was 10 years ago that the class of 1973 had the honor of being addressed at graduation by this celebrated senator. I am honored and very proud to introduce to you a great American and our friend, Senator Barry M. Goldwater.
Thank you. Thank you very much. General Kelly, Secretary Orr, General O'Malley, General Hardinger, members of the faculty, families, friends, and sweethearts. Before I say anything, I must remind you of something. As you know, the granting of amnesty is reserved for heads of state. However, I have been authorized to suspend the remaining punishments for those spirited fourth-classmen in the 21st Squadron who moved the F-16. And someday I'd like to see you try it again, but I want to be here. It's an honor for me to be with you today, but you, those I've mentioned, are really not the ones I came to visit. I want to visit with you graduates. But before getting into this, let me tell you that I am proud. I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to have worn the uniform of my country. I'm very proud, more than I can tell you, to be with you on this day. Now let me see if I can tell you what I've learned that I consider important. I would say the first and most important factor in life are people. They're most important. You have to learn respect for people, and although I have a feeling that most of you already have this quality, you have to practice it. You have to be kind to people, to be patient, to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Secondly, and equally important, always be honest. Never forget what the Honor Code taught you here at school. Even above that, however, remember what your mothers and father taught you and what your church has taught you about being honest. A sense of honor is what sets the Air Force Academy graduate apart. It's a focal point. It's a hallmark of excellence. In addition, always stand proud and stand tall. Be proud of your uniform, but even beyond that, be proud of your country, which the uniform represents. It is one of the last places on earth where freedom lives. What I have discussed with you so far is what we have learned from the past. Now let me go one step a bit with you into the future. I can stand before you today and tell you that I think most of you will live to see the day when wars will be done away with. And I know that history tends to make a liar out of me. In the 7,000 years of recorded history that man has been on this earth, we have averaged 2 wars a year, and there are about 40 going on right now. And when I say that wars can be ended, I don't mean just by the route of getting together and straightening out our differences and our misunderstanding. Rather, a major reason for the end of wars will come from this country's great technological ability, particularly in space. And unfortunately, I'm not able to discuss that further with you at the present time. But just remember, I said it. And they can't put me in jail then. And also, in the future, I foresee a return to God's way. Why? Because these new technological advances that we're going to live with, the new way of life that we will learn to live, and the fact that we're going to learn to communicate with everyone will require a constant understanding by all of us that God created us, gave us our freedom, and God is always there to help us. Now let me close by saying that you're going into a world in which there will continue to be efforts made by people who do not believe in freedom, but who want to enslave the peoples of this earth. You will even see very shortly increased activity among communist-dominated people operating in Central America who are intent on spreading distrust and hatred among people to cause the ultimate embarrassment and ultimate involvement of our country. But they will not succeed. Our people are dedicated to freedom. We are dedicated to protecting those freedoms. And you, in your wisdom and in your love of your country, have decided to dedicate your lives to the cause of protecting our country and, if need be, to fight for our country. And I pray that will never be required of you. And I fervently hope and pray that your lives will continue to be productive and profitable ones by your dedication and devotion. As I said before, I'm proud of you.
Well, Senator Barry Goldwater speaking to the 1983 graduating class. Quite a speech it was. And coming up next, the conferring of degrees.
Yes, sir. It'll be a very special moment for the class here. This is what we've all been waiting for now for 4 years, so looking forward to that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's time to get going to a special offer at Pizza Hut. Just come in, order a medium or large Pizza Hut pizza to go, and get this new half-gallon thermal jug for just $1.99. And every time you order another medium or large pizza to go, bring back the jug, or any Pizza Hut jug, and we'll fill it with Pepsi absolutely free.
At your hometown Pizza Hut.
Come in for the jug. Come back for the refills.
New sun-kissed fruit rolls made with real fruit and other wholesome ingredients. Have you heard your fruit today?
Campfire girls and boys reaching out to make new friends, learning to serve our community while having a lot of fun. Get into Campfire. The Campfire spirit is soaring. We're waiting at 633-1781 to tell you all about Campfire girls and boys.
Welcome back once again to the Air Force Academy. And Brent, this is really one of the important steps before the toss of the hats, the conferring of the degrees. And could you tell us a little bit about what makes a distinguished grad?
Certainly. Well, there are two big inputs into the Distinguished Graduate Program. The first is its grade point average they have at any university. However, we also have an MPA, a military proficiency average. and they weight the distinguished graduates 70% GPA and 30% MPA. Part of the MPA is also for athletics, and therefore we try to come up with a well-developed cadets. A whole man concept is an important theme here at the Air Force Academy.
Now, I noticed the distinguished grads went first, and then it's broken down into squadrons. How are those squadrons seated?
Yes, sir. Well, there are 40 cadet squadrons, and they're seated by squadrons. Each squadron has 110 cadets and 25 seniors, and that's where the bonds are really formed in 4 years. They've been spent 4 years together, and that's where really the friendships have been made.
All right, Brent, we noticed a little bit of a tradition down there on the field as they received the degree, the handshake and the salute. Explain that to us.
Yes, sir. First they receive the diploma, and of course they shake the hand of the awarding official, but then they turn and they salute their fellow classmate at the bottom of the ramp. And that classmate has just received the award there, and he already has his diploma. They then go down and shake the hand, which symbolizes the friendship that has been developed after 4 years.
Before we started today, we were told that there were 930 graduates, and now we are informed there's 920. Explain the difference. What happens?
Well, sir, there's a rigorous academic program here, and if the seniors don't complete their final courses, they're up to par, then they're held over during the summer. So that's probably what happened with those 10 cadets.
Well, even so, with 920 graduates, I understand it is probably one of the largest classes since what?
1976, yeah.
All righty, so that's quite a distance. And the attrition rate has been down this year, down to what, about 36.6%. Why is that?
Yes, sir. Well, I attribute that to what Senator Goldwater said. There's been an uprising of patriotism in the country. Also, the admissions process has been improved quite a bit recently, and I think we're getting a higher caliber of cadet right off the bat.
One thing to remember, too, Brent, that we have a lot of local people involved in the Air Force Academy this year. We have 18 from the Colorado Springs area, 3 from Pueblo, 1 from Fountain, and also 1 from Widefield. And then we have some people from other countries with us this year. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, sir. We have exchange cadets that come from Costa Rica, Panama, Bolivia, and the Philippines. And this is to establish a rapport between the 2 air forces of our country and those nations.
Are there any difficulties in the transition period for those folks coming from another country, or do things go pretty well?
Sir, initially there's a bit of a culture shock, but the cadets take them under our wing, and we like having them around.
Again, kind of the feeling right now, every now and then we hear a round of applause when a name gets mentioned. The families have to be excited about this day, too.
Yes, so they're very excited. Each cadet has his own home personal cheering section there, and girlfriends and moms are the best.
All right, tell us where we go from here. After all of this training, what is the next step?
Well, as I said earlier, probably most of them will go to pilot training. That's a 1-year program at selected bases around the United States, and it's a very front-loaded class, a lot of academics. They'll be in propeller-driven aircraft at first, and then jet aircraft, and after they finish that primary training, they'll go on to jet aircraft, much like the Thunderbirds we'll see later.
Okay, now we talked a little bit about the academics, but there is so much more to the rigorous 4-year training here.
Yes,
what
sir.
else besides academics do we have?
Well, they emphasize a whole man concept, and that's of course, your academics, your military training, and your athletics. And the military training, we have inspections, throughout the months, all the time, and every weekend. We also have a very rigorous physical training program. We have mandatory intramurals, physical fitness tests. And we're trying to develop a whole man concept. An officer should be well balanced.
Alrighty, so as we have the conferring of the degrees continuing, and again the anticipation builds as we near that final moment of the 1983 graduating class of the Academy. And as you may recall, 1983 has really been the Falcon year in sports. John Eaves has that story.
The 1982-83 athletic year at the Air Force Academy will be remembered as a year of firsts, with most of the news coming from the football gridiron, where 4th-year coach Ken Hatfield led the Falcons to their first winning season since 1973 with an 8-5 record. That included a dramatic last-second win over perennial Western Athletic Conference champion BYU. Also, the Falcons, for the first time ever, beat national power Notre Dame. But the 2 biggest achievements came when the Air Force defeated both Army and Navy to win the Academy's first Commander-in-Chief's trophy. And then on December 31st in Birmingham, Alabama, the Falcons won their first ever bowl game, beating Vanderbilt in the Hall of Fame Bowl. After the season, Coach Hatfield was named Coach of the Year in the conference, while Dave Schreck, John Kirshner, and Sean Pavlich were named to the WAC's first team. And Marty Lawton was named the state's top college athlete. It'll be hard to top this past year, but next year looks very promising, with only 7 starters not returning. When the winter rolled around, basketball coach Hank Egan once again found himself at a disadvantage in the tough WAC basketball conference. His team finished with a 10-17 overall record, with senior Rick Simmons being named to the all-conference second team. And a number of freshmen look promising for next season. On the ice, John Matchoff's hockey team was very young, with only 3 seniors on the roster, giving valuable playing time to the underclassmen for next year. While with the ladies' basketball team, it was another successful year, with Coach Dan Fowler leading his team to an 8-6 record. The weather was the main factor once the spring didn't arrive. Baseball coach Joe Robeson saw the majority of his schedule get wiped out because of snow and rain. But once the weather cleared, the Falcons did play good ball, finishing third in the WAC's Northern Division. Next year's team will have some key members returning. Hopefully the weather will be a little bit better. And finally, a couple of other quick notes about the Academy's athletic year. The Falcons once again were national champions in boxing, while the women's swimming team had 12 All-Americans. All in all, another fine year at the Academy on the athletic field, and next year looks even brighter.
Once again, Brandon, we're nearing the end here. The last cadet in just a very few short moments will be receiving his diploma as the 1983 graduating class goes down the line. Who is that last cadet to receive his diploma here?
That'll be Troy Michael Williams. There's his name.
There he is.
40th Squadron. You can hear the wing cheering for him.
Not bad. 920 people later, or 19 later, here he is. Brigadier General Anthony J. Burschnick will deliver the oath of office and also the dismissal, and a large round of applause by the entire crowd here for the 1983 graduating class.
Please raise your right hand. You and each of you, having been appointed as Second Lieutenant, United States Air Force, solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which you are about to enter, so help you God. The class of 1983, you are dismissed.
Here they go. Brand, if you would explain the tradition of the hat.
Well, that's the last time the Class of 83 will ever wear their parade uniforms, and they'll never need those hats again.
All right, we heard a large roar overhead, too.
That's the Thunderbird.
That's, of course, as you mentioned, the Thunderbirds. The loud roar, the excitement of the crowd here as this 1983 graduating class is now second lieutenants.
Yes, sir.
We will be back with the performance of the Thunderbirds in just a moment.
Pizza combo. Thick and rich. Absolutely delish. You haven't been. You won't believe the size. Well, come on in. A large Godfather's Pizza combo weighs more than 4 pounds, nearly 5. You just aren't going to believe the size. Yeah, take one on the size. Godfather's Pizza.
When Rent-A-Center celebrates a 10th anniversary, you save money because we've rolled back prices 10 years. You could have this brand new color console in your home for just $12.95 per week with an option to own. Or this new color portable for the amazingly low price of just $8.95 per week. Check out store-wide savings during the great anniversary price rollback going on now at Rent-A-Center.
Step up to the things you want. Step up to Rent-A-Center. Rent-A-Center.
Welcome back to the Air Force Academy, and time now for an aerial demonstration by the Air Force Thunderbirds. Brandon, tell us a little bit about them.
Well, the aircraft they use is the F-16 Fighting Falcon, named after the Air Force Academy mascot. The 16 replaces the T-38 Talon.
Okay, what was the reason for the changeover from the 16, from the 38 to the 16, I should say?
Sure, the F-16 is currently the hottest aircraft in the world today, and I think they chose it because of its high maneuverability and high rate of flying.
You also mentioned earlier that it can be put into combat readiness in a rather short period of time.
Yes, sir. The F-16s and the T-birds could be combat deployed in 72 hours. They're assigned to the 447th Tactical Fighter Wing in Nellis Air Force Base.
Now, they're giving us about a 25-minute demonstration here this morning, and they're doing something like 29 different maneuvers. It's a lot of hard work here, isn't it?
Yes, sir. They're very well trained. They go through an extensive training program to perform those 29 maneuvers.
Now, what about the altitudes? What kind of range are we talking in their flying?
So they'll be flying about 200 feet off the deck all the way up to 15,000 feet today.
And of course, they travel across not only our country, but other countries throughout the year. And I understand that some 170 million people have seen them in the past, and this year they're not hurting either.
Yes, sir. About 8 million this year have seen the Thunderbirds in action, and many more to come.
You know, something we might mention, this morning when we arrived at the Air Force Academy, we couldn't even see the football field.
Yes, sir.
There were heavy clouds, a light sprinkle, and God was with us, I guess, today, and we had the sunshine on our side, and right now the demonstration is under perfect weather conditions, and I think the Thunderbirds are really pleasing the folks here this afternoon.
To the class of '83, welcome aboard.
Once again, an aerial demonstration by the Thunderbirds wraps up the 1983 graduating ceremonies of the Air Force Academy. And I want to thank, now you've got your new boards on. You are a cadet first class, yes, Brent Brandon from Austin, Texas. I want to thank him for being along with us today to help describe some of the festivities. The best of luck to you. And also the best of luck to the new second lieutenants of the Air Force, and the best of luck also to their families. In the meantime, this is Keith Edwards thanking you for being a part of today's graduating ceremonies. Good night.
Better rush it.
Dream. Impossible it seemed that I could be a wonder boy with wings. So I looked toward the sky and often wondered why I had this mighty urge inside to fly, to fly, to be flying, to fly. Machine made reality from dreams, made it possible for men to soar. Oh, my time is here at last, and I've waited for so long. Now I'm flying high.
The group making the
Reporter Brian Warner was there.
Given the weather of the past few days, the blue skies that broke over Falcon Stadium were more than welcome. And as if by plan, the sun started shining just as the class of '83 started their march onto the field. Commencement speaker was Arizona Senator Barry Goldwater, who spoke of the pride most Americans have in the military and of a day to come when there might be true peace.
That I think most of you will live to see the day when wars will be done away with. A major reason for the end of wars will come from this country's great technological ability, particularly in space.
And finally, that moment that they've waited 4 years for. The cadets took their oath, and then it was all over but the shouting.
You are dismissed.
Eyewitness News at the Air Force Academy.
This was the first time in more than 2 years the Air Force Precision Flying Team Thunderbirds performed at the graduation. The team had to be rebuilt following a tragic crash in which 4 members of the team were killed. Something